Remember that time you spilled coffee on your laptop and briefly thought your entire life was over? Well, imagine that feeling, but for a company that protects thousands of businesses from cyber attacks. That's basically what happened to CrowdStrike recently. They had a major outage, and the internet collectively held its breath. CrowdStrike is a big deal in the cybersecurity world. They're like the digital bodyguards for a lot of important companies and government agencies. So, when their systems went down, people panicked. Were hackers breaking in? Was this the start of some cyber apocalypse? Turns out it was a software issue. Basically, CrowdStrike accidentally tripped over its own shoelaces. No hackers, no data breaches, just a temporary technical hiccup. But even though it wasn't a full-blown disaster, it did raise some eyebrows. When a company's entire business is built on trust and reliability, even a small stumble can have big consequences. Okay, let's talk about CrowdStrike. Unless you spend your days fighting off hackers, in which case thank you for your service, you might not be familiar with them. They're not exactly a household name like Google or Amazon, but in the world of cybersecurity, CrowdStrike is a big deal. They're like the Beyoncé of endpoint security. They use fancy cloud-based technology to protect computers and devices from those pesky cyber threats. Think of it like this: your computer is a house and CrowdStrike is the security system. They monitor everything going in and out, and if they see anything suspicious, they sound the alarm and send in the virtual SWAT team, and they're good at what they do. CrowdStrike has a reputation for being one of the best in the business. They've stopped some major cyber attacks and saved countless companies from digital disaster, but even Beyoncé has her off days, and for CrowdStrike that off day came in the form of a global outage. So what exactly happened during this outage? Well, it wasn't pretty. Imagine trying to log into your bank account and getting an error message. Now imagine that, but for thousands of companies trying to access critical security information. The problem stemmed from a software update. You know how sometimes when you update your phone, it just makes things worse? Yeah, this was one of those times. The update caused a chain reaction of technical glitches, and suddenly CrowdStrike's systems were down for the count. The good news is that it wasn't a cyber attack. CrowdStrike's own systems were to blame. It's like accidentally locking yourself out of your own house. Embarrassing, but not the end of the world. It took a while to fix. For hours, CrowdStrike customers were left in the dark, unable to access the security tools they rely on. And in the world of cybersecurity, every second counts. Now, the big question on everyone's mind: should you buy stock in CrowdStrike after this whole outage debacle? Well, as with most things in life, the answer is a resounding "it depends." On the one hand, CrowdStrike is still a leader in the cybersecurity industry. They have a solid track record, a loyal customer base, and a bright future ahead of them. The demand for cybersecurity isn't going anywhere but up, and CrowdStrike is well positioned to capitalize on that growth. Plus, this outage, while embarrassing, was a one-time event. It's not like CrowdStrike's entire security infrastructure crumbled before our eyes. They identified the problem, fixed it, and are taking steps to prevent it from happening again. So, from a purely financial standpoint, investing in CrowdStrike might not be a bad idea, but there are other factors to consider. Reputations are fragile, like a trust fall with Edward Snowden. Remember that whole trust and reliability thing we talked about earlier? Yeah, that took a bit of a hit with this outage. CrowdStrike built its reputation on being the company you could always count on, the one that would always have your back in a cyber attack. This outage, while temporary, might have shaken that trust. Some customers might be wondering if CrowdStrike is as reliable as they thought. Others might be looking at their competitors and wondering if it's time to switch sides. Reputations are fragile things, especially in the cybersecurity world. It takes years to build trust and seconds to break it. CrowdStrike will need to work hard to regain the confidence of its customers and assure them that this was an isolated incident. It's a cybersecurity jungle out there, and let's not forget about the competition. The cybersecurity industry is a crowded market, with tons of companies vying for a piece of the pie. CrowdStrike might be the Beyoncé, but there are plenty of other talented artists out there. This outage could give CrowdStrike's competitors the opening they need to swoop in and steal some of their customers. After all, if you're already considering switching security providers, why not go with one that hasn't experienced a major outage recently? So, yeah, the competition is fierce. CrowdStrike will need to stay on top of their game if they want to maintain their position as a leader in the industry. Don't panic, but also maybe panic a little. So what's the verdict? Is CrowdStrike a risky investment or a golden opportunity? Honestly, it's a bit of both. There's no denying that CrowdStrike is a strong company with a lot of potential, but this outage has undoubtedly created some uncertainty. Investors will need to weigh the risks and rewards carefully before making a decision. If you're thinking about investing in CrowdStrike, here's my advice. Do your research. Don't just take my word for it. Read up on the company, their financials, and their competitors. Talk to experts, analyze the market, and make an informed decision. And remember, investing always involves risk. There are no guarantees in the stock market. But, hey, that's half the fun, right? Remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.